There is a window. Most new German Shepherd puppy owners do not know it exists until it has already closed. It is not marked on any calendar. No veterinarian hands you a pamphlet about it on the way out. The breeder might mention it in passing or might not mention it at all. Most training books bury it somewhere in Chapter 3 between sections on crate training and loose leash walking, as if it is one item in a long list of things to get around to eventually. It is not one item on a list. It is the list. Everything that determines who your German Shepherd becomes, not just in puppyhood but for the entire span of their life, is shaped in large part by what happens and what does not happen inside this window. It opens around 3 weeks of age. It begins to close at around 12 to 14 weeks. And the 6 mistakes I am going to talk about today are the ones that do the most damage inside that window and in some cases outside of it, in ways that owners often spend years trying to undo without ever understanding what caused the problem in the first place. I want to be clear about something before we start. Everything on this list comes from a place that every single person watching this video shares. You got a German Shepherd puppy because you wanted to do right by them. The mistakes I'm going to describe are not made by bad owners. They are made by loving owners who were not given the right information at the right time. That is what this video is for. So if something on this list lands and you recognize yourself in it, do not turn that into self-criticism. Turn it into the next decision you make for your dog. Here is the first thing you must never do with a German Shepherd puppy. Do not protect them from the world. I know how that sounds. They are small, they are soft, they have those enormous paws that they have not grown into yet and those ears that cannot quite decide whether to stand up or fold over. And everything in you wants to keep them safe and warm and close and away from anything that might frighten or overwhelm them. That instinct comes from love, but in a German Shepherd puppy, acting on it too completely creates one of the most common and most serious behavioral problems the breed develops. It is called fear-based reactivity, and it is exactly what it sounds like. A dog that responds to the world, to unfamiliar people, to other dogs, to novel sounds and environments and surfaces, with fear that expresses itself as aggression, lunging, barking, or shutdown. The German Shepherd has strong, protective instincts. This is part of what makes them extraordinary, but those instincts need a foundation. That foundation is built during the socialization window through positive, controlled, consistent exposure to the world, not overwhelming exposure, not throwing a puppy into a chaotic environment and hoping they cope. Gradual, positive, daily exposure to the ordinary variety of life. Different people, different sounds, different surfaces underfoot. Different environments at a pace the puppy can handle, where their body language tells you they are curious rather than overwhelmed, and you reward that curiosity rather than the absence of it. A German Shepherd puppy that does not receive this during the window does not simply miss out on something nice. They develop a nervous system that has categorized the unfamiliar as dangerous, and they carry that categorization into every interaction for the rest of their life. The 6-month-old German Shepherd who cannot be taken past the end of the driveway without reacting to everything that moves did not become that dog because of genetics. They became that dog because the window closed before the world was introduced. Here is the second thing: never use physical punishment. I am not saying this because it is cruel, though it is. I am saying it because, with a German Shepherd specifically, It does not work the way owners sometimes imagine it will, and the consequences of it are more serious and more lasting than with many other breeds. German Shepherds have exceptional memories. Research on canine long-term memory indicates that dogs form strong associative memories around emotionally significant events, and that these memories do not fade the way procedural memories do. A single incident of physical punishment, hitting, grabbing by the scruff, alpha rolling, any of it can create an associative memory that links the owner's physical presence with fear, not with discipline, not with understanding of what was wrong, with fear. A German Shepherd that has learned to fear their owner does not become a better behaved dog. They become a dog that is managing a relationship with someone they love and are afraid of simultaneously. That conflict produces anxiety. Anxiety in a German Shepherd produces behavior that looks like the original problem, but is actually something different and much harder to address. What started as a puppy chewing furniture becomes a dog with a fear response to their owner's raised voice, which becomes a dog with generalized anxiety, which becomes a dog with behavioral problems that a trainer eventually describes as complex and deeply ingrained. The science on this is not ambiguous. Force-based training methods produce measurable increases in cortisol, measurable increases in stress-related behavior, and measurable decreases in the quality of the dog-owner bond across breeds. In German Shepherds, whose entire behavioral architecture is organized around their relationship with their primary person, the bond is not a pleasant extra. It is the foundation of everything. Damage it, and you are not punishing a behavior. You are compromising the entire structure. Reward what you want. Manage the environment to prevent what you do not want. Redirect before the unwanted behavior becomes established. These are not soft approaches. They are effective ones. And with a German Shepherd puppy whose brain is in its most plastic and receptive state, they work faster and last longer than anything involving fear. The third thing, never skip crate training. I understand the resistance to this one. The crate looks like a cage. The puppy cries when you put them in it, and something in you that is probably related to the same instinct that makes you want to protect them from the world wants to immediately get them out and hold them, and make the crying stop. But here is what the crate actually is for a dog that has been properly introduced to it. It is a den, a space that belongs entirely to them, a place where nothing is expected of them, where no training is happening, where the world's demands have temporarily ceased, and where they can genuinely rest in a way that open access to an entire house does not always allow. German Shepherd puppies that are not crate trained often develop separation anxiety at a rate and severity that surprises their owners. This is not a coincidence. The crate, when introduced correctly with positive association and gradual duration building, teaches a puppy something they need to know for the rest of their life. That being alone is survivable. That the absence of their person does not mean the end of safety. That there is a place in the world where they are secure without needing another being present to make it so. The introduction matters enormously. A crate that is introduced through force or used as punishment ceases to be a den and becomes a place of confinement associated with distress. But a crate that is introduced gradually, with meals fed inside it and favorite chews given inside it, and the door initially left open so the puppy explores it voluntarily, becomes something a German Shepherd will choose to use for the rest of their life. Skip this, and you often spend the next 10 years managing a dog who cannot be left alone without destruction or distress, and who never fully developed the capacity for independent self-regulation that the early crate training would have built. The fourth thing, never let a German Shepherd puppy rehearse problem behaviors. This one requires a shift in how most new owners think about their puppy's behavior. When a German Shepherd puppy bites your hands during play, jumps on visitors, barks at the boundary of the yard, or guards their food bowl, the natural human response is to address the behavior after it has happened. To say no, to remove the puppy from the situation, to apply a correction of some kind. But here is what the research on behavior learning tells us, and what experienced trainers have understood for decades. Behavior that is rehearsed becomes behavior that is established. Every time a puppy bites your hand during play and the play continues even briefly, the biting is being reinforced. Every time a puppy jumps on a visitor and the visitor greets them anyway, the jumping is being reinforced. Every time a puppy barks at something beyond the yard fence and that thing eventually moves away, the barking is being reinforced, because from the puppy's perspective, the barking worked. The goal with a German Shepherd puppy is not to correct problem behaviors, it is to prevent them from being rehearsed enough to become patterns. This means managing the environment so the opportunities for problem behavior are reduced before the puppy has the chance to practice them. Baby gates, leashes, supervision, predictable routines that reduce the variables in which problems occur. This is not complicated, but it requires a level of proactive management that many new owners underestimate. A behavior a German Shepherd has never been able to rehearse does not become a habit. A habit, once established, requires significant, sustained effort to change. The difference between those two outcomes is almost entirely determined by what you did or did not do in the first 6 months. The fifth thing, never underestimate how much mental exercise this puppy needs. Physical exercise is the thing new German Shepherd owners almost universally understand. Walk the puppy. Play with the puppy. Give the puppy room to run. These things are important and most new owners do them reasonably well. What they miss consistently is the mental component. A German Shepherd puppy's brain is developing at a rate that should produce a kind of respectful astonishment in everyone who works with this breed. The neural connections forming during the first year of life are establishing the cognitive architecture that this dog will use for everything that follows. And that architecture needs exercise in the same way the body does. The behavioral presentation of a German Shepherd puppy that is not receiving adequate mental stimulation looks almost identical to the presentation of one that is not receiving adequate physical exercise. Restlessness, destructive behavior, difficulty settling, inability to focus during training. These are not signs of a bad dog or an unusually difficult dog. They are signs of an intelligent animal whose brain is running at full capacity with nowhere to put the output. The mental exercise appropriate for a puppy does not have to be complex. Short training sessions, 5 to 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, teaching basic commands through reward-based methods. Puzzle feeders that require the puppy to work for their food rather than eating from a bowl. Scent games that engage the olfactory system in the low-impact way that is appropriate for a developing body. Novelty in the environment, new objects to investigate, new surfaces to walk on, new sounds to process at a manageable volume. What is not appropriate is extended formal training sessions that exhaust a puppy's attention span and turn learning into something aversive. The goal is short, positive, frequent engagement with a brain that is ready for it, followed by genuine rest. That rhythm, engagement and rest, is how a German Shepherd puppy's brain develops optimally, and it is how you build a dog that can eventually focus and work for sustained periods because focus and work have always been associated with something rewarding. The sixth thing, never confuse consistency with rigidity. This is the most nuanced item on this list and the one that takes the longest to fully understand, which is why I have saved it for last. Consistency is essential with a German Shepherd puppy. The research on canine learning, the experience of every trainer who has worked seriously with this breed, and the common sense of anyone who has spent time with an intelligent working animal all point to the same conclusion. Consistent rules, consistently enforced by every member of the household, produce a stable and secure dog. But there is a version of consistency that tips into rigidity. And rigidity in a German Shepherd's upbringing produces its own set of problems. A puppy raised with absolute rules and no ability to make choices, where every moment is structured and directed and managed, does not develop the kind of flexible confidence that makes a German Shepherd truly remarkable. They develop a dog that can follow rules inside known contexts and struggles considerably outside of them. Genuine consistency means the important things are always the same. The rules about what is and is not acceptable do not change based on your mood or your energy level or whether guests are watching. The response to wanted behavior is always rewarding. The response to unwanted behavior is always the same managed redirection. But within that framework, a German Shepherd puppy needs choices. They need moments where they can decide which toy to pick up, which direction to explore, whether they want to approach something new or observe it from a distance first. They need to develop a relationship with their own decision-making, because the German Shepherd's capacity for independent thought and judgment is one of the things that makes this breed extraordinary in working contexts, and one of the things that makes them deeply satisfying to live with. A puppy that is never allowed to exercise judgment never develops confidence in their own judgment, and a German Shepherd without that confidence is not the dog this breed is capable of being. 6 things, none of them requiring expertise you do not have or resources you cannot access, all of them within the reach of any owner who is paying the right kind of attention at the right time. The window is open right now if you have a puppy, and even if it has already closed, most of what I have described today is not exclusively a puppy concern. The principles behind every item on this list apply to German Shepherds at every age, because this breed never stops responding to the quality of the relationship they are in. Pay attention to that relationship, invest in it daily, and your German Shepherd will give you back something that cannot be manufactured or trained into existence, something that only grows when the conditions are right. Share this with anyone who just got a German Shepherd puppy, not because they are doing it wrong, because they deserve to know what right actually looks like before the window closes. Subscribe if this is the kind of depth you want every week. Like it if something here landed somewhere useful, and leave a comment telling me which of these 6 you wish someone had told you before you started. I read everyone.